And we are live. Whew, didn't think I was going to get there in time. But hello, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the All Elite Ensemble Review, your weekly AEW review show here on the BC WrestlePod Network, podcasting, YouTube, Twitch, conglomeration syndicate thing we do pretty much almost every single day of the week, except for Thursdays. Yet, I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and as of right now, it is going to be just me for our AEW review. I think I'm having one of my other co-hosts join me a little bit later, but the show must go on for all of those who are in show business. And you know what? I'm excited to cover this past week's of AEW because it was an interesting one. We have a Dynamite and we have two nights. You're not hearing me incorrectly. Two nights of Collision, not just one, that were broken up due to the March Madness and basketball and all that good stuff. But before we dive into everything, I would like to just go over some of the housekeeping like we always do here. So if you are brand new here to All Elite Ensemble or to BC WrestlePod in general, welcome. Hello. I am happy to have you here. And welcome to this cavalcade of madness that we got going on. We do lots of things here on the YouTube and the Twitch. We review all the weekly promotions, or at least the majority of them. We also cover the specialties like Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, New Japan, Progress, GCW, and coming to a screen near you, Mystery Wrestling coming in April. There's a lot of things going down. What's up, Robert? It's been a while, my friend. Happy to have you here. I am doing good, Robert. It is, holding it down for AEW solo for now. One of my other hosts is coming shortly, so just going through all the good stuff here. But if you like what we do here on the YouTube and Twitch and you want to see a little bit of more, you can follow us on everything. But if you want to see our report cards for the weekly show and the pay-per-view, or if you want to see out-of-context clips that are surely never going to come and bite us in the butt when we try to apply for other jobs or, when we become rich and famous, make sure to follow us on the social media sites because it's a lot of fun. We also have some merchandise, link in the description below. It is getting warmer. The spring is here, but summer will be upon us. So rock the t-shirts, turn them into a muscle tank, rep us at the gym, at your local bar, wherever you feel like repping us. It is a great time. But without out of the way, let us begin. So we will be covering the Wednesday, March 19th edition of AEW Dynamite first before we get into our Slam Dunk Saturday and Slam Dunk Sunday of Collision. So AEW Dynamite on March 19th, 2025. We kick things off with our final. This is a fatal four-way, an international championship eliminator match where the winner of this match would go on to face Kenny Omega for the International Championship at Dynasty happening in 2 weeks still. It's next Sunday, so April 6th. And so the finalists or the four people in this match were Orange Cassidy, Mark Davis, Ricochet, and new to AEW Speedball, Mike Bailey. So these four individuals qualified last week or 2 weeks ago by winning their respective qualifiers. Orange Cassidy beat Edge. Mark Davis defeated Mark Briscoe. Ricochet beat Yori Shibata. And Speedball Mike Bailey defeated Beast Mortos. So this match was is to determine who Kenny Omega's opponent would be at Dynasty. And I gotta say, this was a really fun match. I'm kind of happy that they opened, but I was also very surprised that they opened with this one. But then again, Tony Khan's card order struck this episode. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I thought this was an opening match. I thought all four men looked great. Honestly, I had my bets that it was either going to be Ricochet or Speedball Mike Bailey. And technically I was right because in the finishing sequence of this, Mark Davis, poor Mark Davis, I love him so much, but Mark Davis ends up eating the pin here. But we get a interesting double pin. We have Speedball Mike Bailey, who is pinning him by putting the shoulders down. And Ricochet is also pinning Mark Davis with a little bit of the middle rope assistance. The ref did not see this for Ricochet. He counted to 3. And we have a double pinning situation where, by legality's sake, Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey both ended up pinning Mark Davis. So instead of having a one-on-one match to determine who would be the true victor, it was decided by AEW and Tony Khan that both Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet would be moving on to Dynasty. And so this is where we get our first match made for AEW Dynasty, where for the International Championship, it was going to be a triple threat with Kenny Omega defending his belt against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. So I'm not going to complain. I would have been fine with Kenny versus Ricochet or Kenny versus Speedball by itself. But the fact that we're getting all three men's going to be great. I don't see Kenny losing the title here. And I think this is going to maybe set up a program for Ricochet and Speedball as Speedball's first major feud here in AEW. But this is the first match that we officially get confirmed for Dynasty. It has me excited. So, Robert, Maple Leaf needs to be its own entity and a third option. Oh, yeah. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, I think, is on its way to be a good third independent option, especially since you have Scott D'Amore at the helm. And then on top of the talent that's already there, like Smiley, Kylie Ray, and some other Canadian wrestling staples, the fact that Josh Alexander is going to be at the next MLP pay-per-view, which is Northern Rising in May, has me super excited, and I can't wait. He made the appearance at the end of Night 2 of Mayhem, and I think it's going to be a fun time for sure. But back to AEW, I think that this is going to be a fun match at Dynasty. And surely I cannot wait. I'm excited. It's going to be good. Yeah. So honestly, Robert, I definitely think that Kenny's retaining here. And okay, let me give you my theory real quick. So I think that Speedball gets pinned here if that's the route we're going to take. And I think Ricochet versus Kenny would be a really good feud leading into Double or Nothing. And then, of course, the big match that we're still waiting on is Kenny Omega versus Okada, potentially from what the rumor mill is talking about, that they're going to unite the International Championship and the Continental Championship. Who knows about all that? But definitely leading into the next big four pay-per-view for AEW Double or Nothing, I think Ricochet versus Kenny in Arizona would be a fantastic idea. But again, I'm excited for this match, and this is going to be a fun one at Dynasty in 2 weeks. Next up, we get a promo pre-tape video vignette and segment for the Hurt Syndicate, where basically Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin basically talk about, getting opportunity here in AEW and that they're here for business and they're here to hurt people, essentially, which is the mission of the Hurt Syndicate. As everybody loves to sing in their theme song, we hurt people. I'm really happy to see the Hurt Syndicate. I think they are a good injection into this tag team division. I do still mourn the loss of a Private Party tag team title run, at least a longer one, but the Private Party is supposedly coming back to television soon. And you know what? We're teasing the Hurt Syndicate. And if we don't get that match at Dynasty, then we definitely should get it at Double or Nothing, which would be great. Okay, Robert, I'm glad you brought this up because we're going to talk about Mr. Maxwell Jacob Freeman in a little bit, because I also do love the idea of him joining the Hurt Syndicate. So we then get our second match of the evening, which is surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, because we got it advertised last week, but we didn't get an official match graphic, but we have a TBS championship match in which Mercedes Moné defends her title against Billy Starks. So anybody who has been here at BC WrestlePod since its inception in the last 2 years, Billy is one of our favorites. She is a Ring of Honor staple. We got a chance to meet and interview her last year when we went to the Wrestle Show New Jersey convention last May. And she's a sweetheart. She was great. She did the interview for us. She was very nice, lovely. Like, I can say no bad things about Billy. So, Billy, I don't think you will ever see this, but I want to thank you for treating us and giving us your time of day. We appreciate you. And I have to say, this is a really, of course, we're biased here at BC WrestlePod, but this is a good showing from Billy. But for me personally, this is also a great showing from Mercedes. And I think this is a testament to Billy Starks and her ability. Girl has been around the world. Billy, as young as she is, has wrestled all over the world and has accomplished a lot in her young career. And Billy sells very well here, too. Did I think Billy Starks was going to beat Mercedes for the TBS championship? No. I figured that wasn't going to be the case, but I am happy to see her get this chance in AEW and, be able to get some television time. Mercedes is still your TBS champion, and we're going to put a pin in her because we're going to talk about her in a little bit about a potential matchup coming down the line for Mercedes. But overall, I thought this match was great. It was a fun championship match. And you know what? The reign of Mercedes Moné continues. Who will be the one to finally dethrone her? Well, only time will tell. So we shall see. Thought this was a fun match. So going back to what you had brought out, earlier, Robert, next up backstage, we get MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, talking about what his answer is going to be for joining the Hurt Syndicate. Basically, he does what MJF does best. He talks for a little bit, and then he lets the audience and us at home know that he will be giving his response next week, aka tomorrow, on Dynamite about his answer to MVP and all that good stuff. Yes, Robert, I think Mercedes is going to be dropping it. I actually don't think we'll see her drop it until All In Texas, and that will go into my conspiracy theory here for a little bit. But back to MJF, we get his answer tomorrow night on Dynamite. So listen, I think MJF in the Hurt Syndicate would be very interesting, and I think it would do something more for him now that he's kind of done with the Hangman feud for a little bit. So that's great. So I love Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Before I move on to the next thing, though, I need to bring in my lovely bald co-host for this evening. So, Professor,
I'm very sorry I'm late.
Hey, better late than not showing up at all.
I was
Otherwise,
here.
me and Robert would be doing the review on our own.
Hey, Robert, thank you for being here. I was doing a bunch of things, running errands and all this stuff, Matt, and then all of a sudden I was like, what time? Where am I? What is it? God! And I'm flying through, so I apologize. You're not too far into it. You're not. I didn't miss too many things.
We just talked. So far, we talked about the opening match in which we got Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey winning and facing Kenny at Dynasty.
Crazy. Not to recap, I don't want to take it too much time because I wasn't here, but what's up, Robert? Glad you're here. Good to see you again. I love how Speedball Mike Bailey's fitting in. I'm kind of enjoying it. I sort of love his gimmick. It works. He buys it. He's invested in it. It definitely feels, early 90s Flash, and he's owning it. There's a certain style AEW has with their characters. Even Will Ospreay's fallen victim to this a little bit too, where it's got to be a little real. And I'm wondering where and when we see that. Are we going to see more of this GCW style Mike Bailey or whatever else? But my God, Ricochet, Kenny, and Mike Bailey, that's going to be nuts. My God,
it really is. So I mean, I'm excited because it's Ricochet, Kenny, and Speedball at Dynasty for that championship.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. Not to spend too much time talking about that. I know I'm late, but that's gonna be super cool.
No, and then the only other thing we really talked about in depth was how I personally like the Mercedes Billy Stark TBS championship match. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun. Billy Starks, I don't know her like I should. I know from what you and Andrew have said. Andrew's all in on her.
All of the ROH folks. We got to meet and interview her last year when we all went to New Jersey.
So she's a friend of the podcast, huh?
Yes.
I thought they worked great together. Mercedes Moné worked really well with her. Mercedes has been picking it up. She's been doing really well which we've been talking about. Her promos still kind of drive me crazy, but in the ring, she's been doing great the last few months. So,
and then of course, the last thing before we move on is MJF gives us our answer tomorrow of MVP and Hurt Syndicate's offer to join them.
I kind of like this for him. I don't think he needs a faction or a clique, as he said. I don't think it's mandatory for him to have one. I do like him on his own. However, looking at MVP, Sheldon, and Bobby, the four of them together, that's some evil right there. I kind of like that. Maybe it's just me. I think that might be a lot of fun.
Yeah, if we get Omega and Ricochet at Double or Nothing,
dude,
I would be good for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we're going, Robert. I think you're onto something.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so we move on for this, and then surprisingly, we get this match, which was not the main event, which I'm kind of glad it wasn't, but we get our AEW World Championship street fight between Jon Moxley and Mr. Cope. This is a rematch of sorts from Revolution, which is also known as AKA, oh man, we did not like the match at Revolution. So we got to redo this and make the crowd happy, which, you know what? Good on them, because that Revolution match was doo-doo. But before we get into, because I have a slideshow of this match, this is where this is going to go up.
Oh, here
So
we
while
go.
we're talking about
I haven't
this,
seen this guy in a while.
I know. But I'm also putting this up because the images that you're about to see may be graphic to some and a little nauseating to others. So please be advised that if you are squeamish and you do not like the sight of blood and or things protruding out of human beings, please turn away now and just listen instead of watching. Yes. So you have been warned. All right.
I'm Big Dog Roman Reigns. I don't have a character yet. I am not afraid. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm still mad that Christian Cage lost contract sign-in thing at Revolution. I try to purge it from my memory, but we do have to bring it up. Thanks, Robert. Just kidding. Alrighty. So let's be honest. This was actually a really good street fight, as street fights are coming, but the money shot right here. So Spike comes out. Moxley goes into Spike. Spike does not come out of Moxley. So this is already bad enough. And then Wheeler Yuta has to come in to try. Oh God, this is real.
That old man doing the Greek tragedy face, the happy mask, sad mask right there in the background is many of people who watched this, right? If you went into this thinking wrestling was fake, you felt something different after this.
I thought about including the other shot, but I feel like that was crossing a line where they zoomed in to watch the skin of Moxley being like risen as they were trying to take. It is, but I also don't want us to get in trouble or demonetized too much.
That's fair.
Utu doesn't like the craziness of gory blood and everything.
And I don't know if you've gone down this rabbit hole. I started to. I didn't stay on it too long. It has brought into question how gimmicked these things really are and how they are done. Is this sharpened rubber or this a certain type of steel? Are they nails? They can't be, or he'd be dead, right? There's something to it that's like somebody on Reddit went down a huge thing of like how they walk on the bed of nails, and the reason it doesn't go through their foot is because of the surface ratio and whatever else. Someone went full mathematical on it. Somebody else was like, no, they're just super stiff rubber. And it just so happens that it didn't give the right way and it messed him up. It's like, oh my God, that's possible too. Whatever it is. I know Moxley's selling it, but he loves it. We're talking
Moxley
about
is a sick freak and we know it.
And I think, and part of me is sort of, not to go full conspiracy theory, but the fact that this happened and now we're talking about it and it kind of takes a little bit of the radar away from WWE and John Cena and all that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, interesting. They're still making the headlines, right?
Oh, absolutely. Let me rephrase. Either Cope or Cage should be world champion, not Mox. Look,
I think so.
We agree too, Robert, because the Death Rider storyline is not doing anything. So all I can say is Swerve, save us.
It would have been more interesting for one of them. We go back to Christian and Cope because we never really got the payoff of that. It sort of happened and then was gone. I think they're kind of stuck in whatever this Death Riders thing is since Daniel Bryan, Ron Danielson's dissipated. What are we? Where are we going? But nails in the back, kind of fantastic.
Yeah. And then Moxley wins, Bulldog choke to Cope to win. FTR come out, FTR bald, but yeah, Dax is kind of he is all angry right now because his FTR is in the ring with Cope. Dax doesn't help Cope up, he pushes Cash away. I'm like, what in the breakup is happening? Like,
I don't know if you caught it. Cash Wheeler did that suicide dive through the second rope and killed his face on the announce table.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead. It just right bridge of the nose, and he was gone. We didn't see him again for like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, he's bleeding to death right over there. He's not
like slowly, ever so suddenly. But yeah, so we have a sit down with FTR tomorrow night. So
yeah,
we don't. I was just like, yeah, listen, y'all can break up after you give me my last match between you two and the Undisputed Kingdom of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Because y'all are 1-1. Give me one more, and then y'all can break up afterwards.
And I don't know. One of us, I don't think it was JBL or you. There was somebody else who it might have even been Andrew way back, thinking about what are we going to do with FTR. This is around the time of Wheeler's questionable actions in Florida, and they were wondering, do we break them up? Do we move them differently? Because FTR was acting kind of weird, and we weren't sure what we liked as a tag team or whatever else. I don't know if you get much mileage out of breaking them up because they are so copacetic as a tag team. However, maybe we do want a singles run with Dax. Maybe they got to bump that up some way. I don't know. It's worth me I'm intrigued, which is what you want week to week, right?
Right.
I'm not saying Reddit. There are other places where the internet's going crazy over this. Like, what do you mean FTR? Ah, like they're losing their minds. Like, well,
Oh,
hey, let's just see.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm here for AEW Burt Reynolds to get a singles push.
As long as he poses half naked on a rug, I think that's fine.
You know what? We got very close to that when they were doing stuff with the Outrunners in those pre-tape 80s. Amazing. It was great.
Good.
So, Trouble in Paradise for FTR. Tune in tomorrow night for Dynamite to figure
Yeah.
all that out. I'm mad that this was not advertised and plans weren't changed, but we got a bang in Will Ospreay and AR Fox match.
This was so good. Was that so? That was the story, right? Like, who couldn't
This
make
was
it?
not planned.
So was this just, hey, put me in there? I want to do something.
Yeah, AR Fox was here, and so was Will, and they're just like, y'all two gonna have a match, and then they gave us a banger.
Oh, it was great. Like, I'm tempted to put this on my matches of the year, but I'm trying to water down my Will Ospreay fever. I'm trying not to put him on every match every week. This was great. I like AR Fox. We don't see him enough. If this was thrown together like everyone's saying, and they just sort of met that day and went, oh, okay, let's go for it. They did great stuff here.
Also, AR Fox, friend to the channel, who we got to meet last May at the Wrestle Show, New Jersey. Yeah, he's great. AR Fox and Will Ospreay again. I would not be mad.
Like that was really good.
So good. So I'm excited. Hangman announces himself for the Owen Hart tournament. Listen, this Benz is already stacked. You have Jay White, Will Ospreay, and now you have Hangman Aggro Page in this. This is about to be a nutty tournament.
That's a lot of angry men in one tournament. I think Owen Hart would be very happy about that.
I mean, you're not exactly wrong, but
sure.
Oh, Hangman, I love you and your jacket and your almost porno mustache.
Almost? What do you mean almost? That's it.
You and Dax need to become a tag team. For real. Who has the most porn stash?
Oh, that's a tag team. Well, that's what gets demonetized. Continue. Keep going. Continue. If JVL was here, he would have thrown up.
Absolutely.
Anyway, keep going.
Okay, so this brings me back to what Robert and I were talking about earlier with my conspiracy theory. So after interviewing Hangman Aggro Page, Renee has an interview with Mercedes Moné, and in her like 60,000 belts at this point. And so she talks about how Billy Starks did a good job, but you know what? She wasn't good enough to beat her. And as the kids say, Mercedes Moné was like tossing out strays, and Billy's mentor was catching strays in this promo, which for anybody who knows is like, oh man, she's taking shots at Athena. So Athena is probably going to be popping up here sometime within the next month or so, where it's going to be her and Mercedes for that TBS championship. Now, the only issue with that is that Athena right now is your current ROH Women's Champion. So she's been the Ring of Honor Women's Champion for 836 days at this point.
Wow. Really? 3 years, I guess?
Almost, yeah. So it's crazy. But I know some people have speculated that we might be getting Mercedes versus Athena at Dynasty. I think that if they're going to prolong this, I could see Athena versus Mercedes at Y'all In, which is Athena's hometown of Texas, and I could see her. But we have to figure out what we're doing with Athena and that ROH title, because ROH and AEW are in the same company, but I don't know if Tony Khan would let Athena hold the TBS championship and the ROH women's title, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. Look at Mercedes. She has like all these international belts too. But Athena versus Mercedes is a match that I do look forward to whenever we get that. The main event, which surprised me. I'm like, oh my God, women are main eventing Dynamite? What in the universe?
Is Tony Khan listening to us? Does Tony Khan know what we're calling for?
And they got time. It was crazy.
A lot of time. This was great. We say this every time Toni Storm's on the mic at commentary. She kills it. She's so good. And there's these huge gaps where they're just laughing and they don't know what to do. And Taz is trying to catch up and be witty and just gets crushed by her every single time. Tony Schiavone had no chance. I thought that was brilliant. Anyway, having her on the mic totally worked. Megan Bayne throwing Chris Lander into Tony.
It was great.
What is happening? I love that Megan, we'll talk about this. I won't get her head of the spot. Megan Bayne's looked great at AEW so far.
Oh, cool. I mean, I'm just
really impressed.
Me and Andrew are just happy that Megan Bayne is getting like this bigger spotlight, because she's been killing it in GCW since. Well, I mean, Andrew has been watching GCW longer than I have, but Megan is like a constant in GCW. She's always putting on great matches. And of course, the GCW, because they're never afraid. She has fought both women and men's, and they all have been great.
And has tossed men's around like ragdolls, like squats them and like does moves on. Had a match with Effie a while ago, or maybe a year or two ago, that Andrew had sent me at one point, and it was like, damn, this woman's killing it.
Megasis is real, and Chris Statlander is no slouch either. That is also a big girl to throw to.
And Tony Storm's whole like, how do you get the eyes like that? Crushing watermelons? And all the men are like, don't know what to say.
Listen, in a true dream world, if we really wanted to do big girls versus big girl versus big girl, this would be Megan versus Chris versus Rhea Ripley.
Oh, woof. Yeah. Well, Bane versus Naya versus Willow or something like you.
Willow versus Megan would be so good.
Let's just get some. The term would be that isn't a derogatory because man meets one thing, but I don't know what you'd even say.
Well, in the words of Toni Storm, because she found out a good way to describe Megan Bane after the match, but Megan does win, and so timeless Toni Storm does not win. She just gets in the ring. They start a fight. They get pulled apart. And Toni will forever be my favorite person when she gets on that mic. The first thing that comes out of her mouth, and we're far enough in, it's just like, my God, you're a big bitch.
Yeah, so good. And she just, I don't know if she's trying to break Megan, because she almost did. Megan's there holding her face.
Megan was trying not to laugh. It was so good. She's like, you know what they say. The bigger they are, the harder they come. I'm like,
you just, and the whole Nebraska crowd, like, what'd she say?
She's like, we will get your thighs shaking, your body raking, and me and you will have a date at Dynasty. Of course. Yes.
Perfect. So good.
We are getting Toni Storm versus Megan Bane for the AEW Women's World Championship at Dynasty. Yes, I am here for it.
I hope to be able to watch it. My Sunday, that April 6th day blew up because it's also my wife's birthday. So I will be probably watching this the next day.
On Monday, the day before the review. Honestly, same.
Because that day's going to be hell for me because I have stuff at work, I have birthday and other stuff. But this could be another Toni Storm match of the year candidate, right? As we're talking women's matches of the year and whatever else, like that might be another one. And I don't want to stack the deck like I'm doing Will Ospreay, but Toni Storm could be just cracking them up the rest of the year. I really want to see how well they work together. I'm very intrigued by this.
Oh, absolutely. I am excited for this match. At this point, we have 3 matches now officially made for Dynasty. We have Mox versus Swerve, and now we have Toni versus Megan. And then, of course, watch this week and next week we're gonna get like thousands of more matches.
It's gonna get ridiculous, right? It's just gonna be people we've never heard of and prizes, and someone's gonna come out of retirement, and it's just gonna be oh god.
Stay tuned for next week's show where we do our Dynasty predictions.
My gosh.
And this is the final predictions for the 2024-2025 league.
Oh no, this is the end!
Because we started with Dynasty 2024, we end in Dynasty, and then we start the season all over again.
Am I in a onesie?
No, not for this one. JBL is in a wrestling singlet for AEW.
In WWE, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up in the one thing.
We will figure that out. That one's a lot closer than you think it is. But as of right now, I can confidently say I am the winner of the predictions league for AEW and for TNA. WWE is still up in the air. So am I going to be a Triple Crown champion? Tune in because Mania is either going to make or break some of us.
We don't have belts, though. It's just a loser prize.
Well, I mean, I will order belts for the winners. And if I end up winning, I mean, I guess I'll buy the belt for me.
You're just buying belts for yourself.
Which is kind of crazy. We'll see. So we'll see.
Sure.
So I want to, here's the thing. As much as I like to win for bragging rights, I do want to send belts to and everybody else but me, because then I was like, at least it's something fun to do, but it's not my fault that I'm great at prediction.
Well, we'll talk about this off air, but there's this sense of like, we should have one belt per thing. And then we had to send it.
I think we're going to change the rules for the 2025-2026 season where the first place winner will get the belts, and then the next pay-per-view, they have to fight to keep it.
Like go fight? Like go park?
Not like physically fight, but let's say I win it at Double or Nothing, and then I lose it at the next AEW pay-per-view. Let's say you beat me in predictions. So I send it to you, so that way you are the current title holder post like Forbidden Door or something like that.
I was going to say, I'm not fighting Andrew. Andrew knocked the shit out of me. There's no way.
Nobody wants to fight Andrew. That is a Samoan and a half, and I am not.
Nope.
Now, listen, I want Andrew on our side. He'll fight for us, but I'm not.
I'll do trios and tag with Andrew, absolutely, but I'm not.
Nah, if I had to fight Andrew, I would just be like, lay down in the ring, just pin me. It's not worth my life. He's the quiet Samoan. Those are the most dangerous ones.
Andrews, Allender. And it's just
that's it.
Waving and crawling on.
Just pin me now. It's not happening. But that main event and this announcement is what ends Dynamite for this week. So this was a great Dynamite. I had a fun time. And despite plans needing to be changed because of the weather, according to reports, I still thought they did the best with what they could. And again, if impromptu matches like AR Fox and Will Ospreay come out of these changes, like I'm never going to be upset. Love it. Okay, so now let's get into the real weird weekend that was Collision. Because of March Madness and basketball, they divided Collision into 2 1-hour episodes, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, which surprisingly I think worked very well for the most part. I will say Sunday was the most AEW because they had promos. Saturday was mostly no promos and all matches. So we're going to start. And then, of course, because it's basketball and AEW likes to do theme stuff, so we're going to talk about Slam Dunk Saturday first. So Slam Dunk Saturday opened up with a TNT championship where everybody was banned from ringside. So Daniel Garcia defending his title against Adam Cole, baby. This was also a really good match. They reached the time limit draw. So this was they reached the 20-minute time limit draw. And so Daniel is still champion, but we'll talk about it on Slam Dunk Sunday. I think we get the rematch again at Dynasty.
All right. That's cool. Okay.
But
I dig that. I don't hate
this
that.
was a really solid match. I'm not even going to lie.
Good.
And then I'm like, this is what happens when you let Daniel Garcia actually wrestle and be a champion.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole would work great together. I should go watch this. I'll go find it.
Definitely go watch it. It's on YouTube and everything. This was great. But then AEW wasted no time because, again, Slam Dunk Saturday was nothing but matches. So time limit draw. We will talk about Adam Cole and his little promo on the Sunday edition of
You only had an hour and this ran a draw?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. This is good. So next match we're going to talk about is the Max Caster Open Challenge again. This time he got obliterated by Hook. It was great to watch. Hook just comes out, puts him in the red room and call it a day.
One of these days, it's got to be someone ridiculous. It's just got to be.
Max Caster has wrestled everybody from Hangman to Takeshita to Hook in these. I need Samoa Joe to answer one of these challenges and just
Samoa Joe
him.
would be cool. I'm wondering who's unsigned or retired that could come out and just destroy Max Caster.
That would be
I mean, not Goldberg, but like someone just shows up and we all go.
I know she's busy, but that'd be hilarious. Just have Megan Bang come out and destroy.
Megan Bang walks out and just destroy.
Or Nyla Rose coming.
Yo, that
be like, okay, this week I can only fight a women's wrestler. Nyla Rose comes out.
That would be
basically anybody, any of the women's roster. Hikaru Shida, Willow Nightingale.
There's got to be someone out there that just blows our mind. That'd be cool.
It would be fantastic. But Hook comes, answers the challenge, puts him in the red room, call it a night. Rubber match. These two killed it once again. Julia Hart versus Queen Aminata. This was so good. Queen does pick up the victory here, so she is the victor out of this feud. But this was a nice 3-match feud. Hopefully now we have something more for Julia and the Hounds of Cerberus. The Hounds of Hell. I love Julia and Queen. This was a great feud, even though it was only a couple weeks. No notes. Moving on. This main event, though, kind of slapped. This was a fun Trios Championship. I am glad the Trios Championships are now being defended more on bases and not just being held hostage by the Death Riders. So, good job on everybody involved. This is what I was mentioning. Adam Cole wants a rematch, so we get an Undisputed Kingdom promo where Adam Cole talks about he wants a rematch with Daniel Garcia, and he wants to prove that he can win the TNT Championship, so would not be surprised if we get that at Dynasty. And then Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong want one more match with FTR since they are 1-1 to prove who is the better tag team, and I'm like, yes. Also, give me that match at Dynasty. Like, my goodness.
Those are probably the 2 Dynasty matches that you were talking about, yeah.
I really want those matches. Please let it happen. It's fantastic. Okada puts bitches to sleep.
I love Okada. Please never change.
I love the captain here. I put those bitches to sleep.
He's so great. Never change, Okada. Please never learn English. Please just be who you are forever.
It's so good. And I was like, I know the New Japan Okada was more serious, but I was like, this is probably who he's always been. Honestly.
Perfect. His sense of humor, his sense of timing, he can do no wrong, man. He's figured it out.
So he does talk about how he's went through Brody King and Buddy Matthews. And so now he awaits his next challenger. So unless we give him a filler feud, already know that we're going to have him and Kenny collide at Texas and during the summer. So I think that's the bigger match here, but gotta never change. I agree with the professor. Yo, this match had no right being as great as it was. I actually really liked this one.
Really? I was
Not-
dreading hearing about this. It was good?
So I enjoyed it. Johnny TV is, well, great for TV. And of course, I am biased because I love Bandito. So this was actually a good match. Bandito wins. And then what started out as me not wanting to see Chris Jericho on my screen because he comes out with the learning tree afterwards with wearing Gravity's mask. Bandito pimp slaps him and takes the mask back. So I was like, I think this sets up an ROH championship match at at Supercard of Honor, which is happening Friday, May 2nd. We will not be doing a live watch along because there's so many things we already got planned too, but I'm still going to watch it. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Bandito takes the title from Chris Jericho.
I was going to say, I think Jericho's got to drop the title.
He's better drop it because there's nobody else right now.
Nothing's going on. He's sort of, his own storyline is stuck in creative purgatory. The fans are just indifferent to him. They're not even angry anymore. They're just there, and
they exist just like the storyline just exists. But Bandito pimp slaps Jericho, which was nice to see. He takes his brother's Gravity's mask back. And again, I think this sets up an ROH championship match at Supercard of Honor May 2nd. So nothing else to add. Harley Cameron was in action. She defeated a local talent, but it still was fun to see Harley Cameron in action. And we would see her later in the main event in her alter ego of Harley Graham. I love Harley. She's great. No notes. Moving on. Don Callis has an interview with Lexi. And Kyle Fletcher's like, all these people are talking all this mess. So, you know what? I'm going to prove to everybody why I'm actually the best. And we are getting Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe, I think, tomorrow night on Dynamite, which should be interesting. I got to double check that.
How does beating Briscoe make him prove that he's the best of all
for me
people?
Well, I think honestly what Kyle
I love me Briscoe. That's not what I mean by that, but I don't know.
I think what Kyle meant to say is that we are in transition from my feud with Will Ospreay, so we just need something for me to do.
That's fair.
Which I think honestly is what it is. Oh, sorry, no, correct me. Mark Briscoe is facing Takeshita tomorrow night.
Oh, that's gonna be wild. That's okay.
You know what? Let's just preview Dynamite while I'm here because it is tomorrow night.
Yeah, tell me what's happening tomorrow.
So Tony Schiavone is having a sit down with Rated FTR. So that's Cope and FTR. MJF gives his answer to MVP about whether or not he will join the Hurt Syndicate. And then we have five matches scheduled, and I'm actually kind of excited for all of it. First, we get, as I said, Briscoe versus Takeshita, which should be good. We get Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher, which is going to be a banging match too.
Wow.
On top of that, we also get Kyle's, Hermano of United Empire, Mark Davis taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. So those are two big boys fighting each other.
Yeah, that's massive, right?
We get a women's tag team match where we have Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford teaming up to take on Thunder Rosa and Timeless Tony Storm.
Really?
So,
okay.
Thunderstorm makes a return, and I'm excited.
That's going to be fun. All right.
Cool. Then in the main event, it is going to be Kenny Omega versus one of my personal favorite independent talents and also on ROH, and Blake Christian. This man defies all laws of gravity. It is fantastic.
You mean
like Jack Cartwheel, but crazy.
What is Jack Cartwheel? Why isn't he in it?
Okay, so Jack Cartwheel is on the upcoming GCW shows. He is also, so he's going to be...
Is he really?
No, he's not in Blitzport, but he's also at the next GCW show in Los Angeles, which they quoted the Kendrick Lamar song. The show is literally called Crazy, Spooky, Scary.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
I love Jack Cartwheel. It's just great that his gimmick is, I do cartwheels. I mean, he's great.
You can, also, if you want to see more Jack Cartwheel, you can also find him on Wednesday nights on Tubi as part of WWE, because Jack Cartwheel is a WWID talent.
Oh.
He was in the premiere episode where he teamed up in a 3-on-3 match with Cappuccino Joe, who I also love really well. Big independent talent. Evolve is very indie version for WWE because these are all talents and kids who have been but the way that it's structured is
you've done too much for LFG and you've been around too long and AEW hasn't hired you yet, so we got to put you in that ID plan.
Well, which is crazy because Triple H is going to be treating WWE Evolve with like some sort of like developmental independent brand, because it was announced like last month that there's going to be WWE ID championships. So that's crazy. And there's actually going to be some tournament matches happening at some of the GCW events over Vegas during April. So we may get to see those. That is fantastic. Love it. But yeah, so Kyle Fletcher versus Brody King tomorrow night. That match is going to slap. Main event, and my God, this was my favorite Collision match over the 2 days. But that's because I'm biased as hell. We have Commander versus Hologram. We have Commander and Hologram taking on Dralistico and the Beast Mortos. This was a fantastic main event. This is where we also have Harley Graham make an appearance as well. Beast Mortos and her falling in love, I guess. I love it. It's kind of dumb. It's silly. Commander and Hologram do pick up the victory, which is nice because 2 days prior at CMLL in Mexico, I will let you get the login, Professor. You need to see, because Commander and Hologram team up in Mexico from this past Friday to take on Místico and Máscara, who are like your big two wrestlers in CMLL. And that match was baller.
All right. I like that CMLL cult you have going on. I need to get over there.
Honestly, me, Will, and Adolfo have such a great time. And Taya Valkyrie actually got to wrestle and not just be part of like millions of promos.
That Dralistico mask is unreal.
It's so good, right?
That's a trip. Yeah.
I want it so bad. I got to find it. But this was our main event. This was fantastic. Our heroes of Commander and Hologram do pick up the victory. I do recommend everyone go watch it because it is still damn good. And that ends our Collision, and therefore brings us to the end of All Elite Ensemble for this week. So, awesome. So, as I mentioned, we previewed Dynamite, which is going to be fun. And next Tuesday, we will be covering the Dynamite and the Collision shows. We will also be doing our predictions for Dynasty, because next Tuesday is the final review before Dynasty a couple days later on April 6th, which is crazy that Dynasty is coming up. And then it won't be all roads lead to Double or Nothing at the Memorial Day weekend in May. I'm mad at companies because once again, this year we find ourselves with too many pay-per-views over Memorial Day weekend.
Well, that's the hustle, right? They're all trying to get that piece of the pie. It's become a bigger event than the one event itself. I get it. It is tough for people trying to watch and journal
because we got to review everything.
Yeah, review and be journalists during that stuff. Yeah, that's wild.
So yeah, because the order is going to go. So that Friday is TNA's Under Siege, which is going to be in Montreal. So they're in Canada for that one. And that's Under Siege.
You didn't even try. What was that?
Montreal. How do you spell that? HM.
HMNMON Phlegm.
Phlegm. So that's... And then on Sunday, it's 2 pay-per-views. NXT's Battleground and AEW's Double or Nothing. I was like, Lord help us all. But that is it. Tune in next week for our Dynamite and Collision review and our predictions for Dynasty as we gear up for another exciting AEW pay-per-view. And then, of course, come back around on Sunday where the WWE crew will be talking about lots of things that went down internationally over in WWE, especially my favorite meme of Jimmy Uso slapping the dog taste out of Gunther's mouth from Raw this past Monday.
My phone blew up yesterday. I wasn't even watching Raw, and everyone's like, "Are you seeing this?" And I'm like, "What? What's happening over in Glasgow? What's going on?"
It is so great. I cannot wait. That is going to be it for us here. So remember, take care of yourself. Love one another. Stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you tomorrow night where you can see me and a bunch of my other friends cover NXT and CMLL. But until then,
thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.